So when the journalist Kevin Schofield received a text from a Labour MP which said this evening, "We look like a chaotic, scruffy, angry, deluded, dangerous rabble. We hate success, hard work, intelligence and wealth. We like mediocrity, laziness, irresponsibility. We're chanting the name of our leader like a cult." Why would anyone vote Labour?
Well,
the nation is in shock. Keir Starmer, the man who promised to make Brexit work, has just signed what many are calling the most treacherous betrayal of the British people since the EU referendum itself. And in an unprecedented move, Prince William, the future King of the United Kingdom, has broken royal silence with a declaration so thunderous it has shaken Westminster to its core. This is not the Brexit our people voted for. That's the line reportedly uttered by Prince William behind closed doors. According to sources close to the palace, and in a rare show of fury, the prince has allegedly vowed that his first goal as king will be to remove Starmer from power and restore the will of the people. The so-called Brexit reset deal is nothing more than a full frontal surrender. After months of secretive negotiations with Brussels, Keir Starmer has delivered a backroom agreement that sells out British sovereignty, opens the gates to EU influence and spits in the face of millions who voted to leave in 2016.
To focus on what's happening today. There were no government spokespersons on the media this morning. I see the Health Secretary has made it to the chamber. And that's the point, Mr. Speaker. This virus isn't defeated. We're going to face other tests where the British people may be asked by their leaders to make further sacrifices for the greater good. Her Majesty the Queen sat alone when she marked the passing of the man she'd been married to for 73 years. Leadership, sacrifice, that's what gives leaders the moral authority to lead. Does the Prime Minister think he has the moral authority to lead and to ask the British people to stick to the rules?
Not only that, Mr. Speaker, but the Labour Party and the Labour leader in particular have played politics, Mr. Speaker, throughout this pandemic.
Let's break it down. Under this new deal, British passports will be scanned into more EU e-gates, turning our citizens back into subjects of European bureaucracy. This is the reality we're facing. We're crawling back to EU food and animal health standards, opening our markets and border rules to Brussels once again. And what does the UK get in return? A few sausages back on supermarket shelves, a token steel concession, a vague promise about Erasmus, and whispers of a youth mobility scheme code for free movement too. This isn't a trade deal, it's a Trojan horse. Prince William, who has largely stayed neutral on political affairs, is said to be privately furious at the blatant betrayal of Britain's democratic mandate. Insiders claim he views Starmer's actions as not just a political blunder, but a moral and constitutional outrage. And he's not alone. Nigel Farage has called the deal Brexit in name only. And in Westminster, Labour is at war with itself. Angela Rayner is reportedly furious that Starmer pushed through this EU appeasement without consulting key factions of the party. Backbench Labour MPs are muttering about coups, and Rachel Reeves, already battered by backlash over her £40 billion tax hikes and the collapse of billionaire investment, is quietly distancing herself from the Prime Minister's Brussels love affair.
Mr. Speaker, let me turn now to the three deals this government has struck. The principles we took into the negotiations are clear and simple. Does it drive down bills? Does it drive up jobs? Does it strengthen our borders? And in each case, the answer is resoundingly yes. These deals release us from the tired arguments of the past and, as an independent sovereign nation, allow us to seize the opportunities of the future. A clear message sent across the globe that Britain is back on the world stage. Mr. Speaker, a trade deal with the world's fastest growing economy, India, cutting tariffs for British industries, a huge boost for our whisky and gin distilleries. Their only concern now, Mr. Speaker, is whether they can produce enough to sell. And for our car manufacturers, tariffs slashed from over 100% to just 10%, with no concessions on visas. A trade deal with the world's richest economy, the United States, slashing tariffs, saving thousands upon thousands of jobs in car manufacturing in places like JLR, protecting our steel and aluminium exports and safeguarding interests for our hugely important pharmaceutical sector. But, Mr. Speaker, I can already see that when it comes to this hat-trick of deals, it's our new partnership with the EU that they most want to talk about. And, Mr. Speaker, and given their abject failure to strike a deal with India or the US, I can't say I blame them.
Make no mistake, this is no ordinary political crisis. This is a full-blown constitutional reckoning. And now even the monarchy is weighing in. Prince William's alleged declaration that Starmer is a traitor to the people's vote has set social media ablaze. Hashtags like Starmer the traitor and Not My Brexit are trending across the country. Public opinion is collapsing. Polls show a double-digit swing away from Labour in under 48 hours. And many are now asking, how long can Starmer survive? Because this isn't just about Brexit anymore. This is about trust, about democracy, about a man who promised to honour the will of the people and then did the exact opposite. Let's not forget Starmer campaigned on respecting the referendum. He mocked those calling for a return to Brussels, and yet, less than a year into office, he handed the EU a golden key back into British life. Fishing rights are still under EU control. Immigration policy is being explored with Brussels. Starmer's deal avoids paying the EU, but only by aligning our emissions trading scheme with theirs. Translation: more regulation, less control. Meanwhile, inflation continues to crush working families. Reeve's tax hikes are bleeding small businesses dry. Reform UK is on the march. And Starmer's response? Surrender. The country is demanding answers. Millions of Leave voters feel betrayed. Even many remaining voters are asking, was this the plan all along? Prince William's bold words have struck a national chord. He's not interfering in party politics. He is defending the soul of the nation. And whether officially or unofficially, his stance sends a clear message to Labour. You do not get to rewrite democracy behind closed doors. With leadership tensions boiling inside the party, some say this might be the beginning of the end for Starmer. Rayner is circling. Backbenches are an open revolt. And as Farage whips up support in Brexit hotlands, the threat to Labour's fragile hold on power is growing by the hour. What happens next? Will Starmer be ousted from within? Will Reform UK force a snap election? Or will the Prince's unprecedented stance rally the public into demanding real Brexit, real sovereignty and real leadership? Only one thing is clear. Keir Starmer has gambled with the nation's future and is losing. The monarchy has spoken. The public is rising and the message to Starmer is now deafening. This is not your country to sell. You betrayed Brexit and your time is running out. But it gets even worse for Keir Starmer. As the multi-dimensional threat against his continued stay in Westminster grows, a new threat has risen. And this is a threat he brought upon himself as a result of his ongoing romance with Brussels. One MP in particular called the deal a sellout of the fishing sector. But the Prime Minister staunchly defended Britain's reset deal with the European Union, insisting the partners are looking forward to tomorrow and not re-litigating Brexit. He argued the deal delivered for Britain, gave unprecedented access to the EU market, that scrapping trade barriers would cut the price of the weekly shop, and closer energy links with the continent would drive down energy bills. Highlighting recent trade agreements with the US and India as well, he emphasised, these deals release us from the tired arguments of the past and, as an independent sovereign nation, allow us to seize the opportunities of the future. A clear message sent across the globe that Britain is back on the world stage. But it appears the damage is done, as even the fishermen are weighing in. Some of them have accused the government of a shameful betrayal after granting European boats access to UK waters as part of a new deal. The Scottish Fishermen's Federation insisted that the new deal is a horror show for fishermen. Sir Keir made a major late concession on fisheries to allow the EU12 ongoing access to British waters on status quo arrangements. Frankly, the backlash has proven that Starmer either doesn't understand what the people want or doesn't care about them. Now the question is, what happens next? Will the British people, who are the most affected by this deal, stand up to resist? Or will the angry MPs be the ones to push Starmer out of Westminster? In other news, Rachel Reeves has just dropped a political nuclear bomb and Westminster is reeling. Just months after becoming the UK's first female Chancellor, Reeves now finds herself in the middle of a Labour civil war. Her £40 billion tax raid, hailed by Labour, has detonated a firestorm across the business world, driven out Britain's wealthiest and left the economy teetering on the edge. And now, with Starmer's grip on power loosening and whispers of betrayal echoing through Downing Street, is preparing to sack her. But she's not going down without a fight. In a stunning move behind closed doors, Rachel Reeves has fired back at the Labour leadership, reportedly threatening to expose the full truth behind the economic chaos and even hinting that Starmer himself pushed her to go further than she wanted. Let's rewind. Reeves' autumn budget was supposed to be Labour's economic masterstroke. Instead, it triggered an exodus. Billionaires bolted, entrepreneurs fled. The number of UK billionaires collapsed, dropping to the lowest in years. Sir Rocco Forte, chairman of Rocco Forte Hotels, didn't mince words. This is taking Britain back to the 1970s. Industrialist Tony Langley warned Reeves was killing the goose that lays the golden eggs, and tech leaders slammed the Chancellor's policy as reckless, accusing her of gutting innovation and strangling growth. But what set the fire ablaze was Reeves' total war on non-DOMs, those foreign-born investors who had pumped billions into Britain's economy. Reeves scrapped their tax privileges, calling it a matter of fairness.
So this is your first appearance on Good Morning Britain since quite a few months, and certainly since allegations about you enhancing your CV, your personal CV, surfaced. That was in November, I think. As it is your first appearance on the programme since that story dropped, I think it's important that we ask you about it. We don't seek to embarrass you, but we'd just quickly like to go through it. It'll take me 20 seconds to summarise it. You told Stylist magazine that you'd worked at the Bank of England for a decade. In fact, it was only 6 years, and one of those years was at the London School of Economics doing a master's course, so that's 5 years and not a decade. And in biographies that you'd actually endorsed, it was stated that you worked as an economist at the Bank of England, the British Embassy in Washington, and latterly at the Halifax Bank of Scotland. But according to your former colleagues in your actual job, you actually worked in a support department at Scottish Bank, and you sort of helped out with admin and IT, and that's all earned you the nickname of Rachel from Accounts. Did you enhance your CV to make yourself look better qualified to be the Chancellor of the Exchequer if you won the election?
I'm really proud of the jobs that I did before I became a Member of Parliament. I worked at the Bank of England in the international area, working on investment and productivity. I worked as the second Economic Secretary at the British Embassy in Washington. I've done an undergraduate degree in PPE, a master's from the London School of Economics in economics.
But the cost, over £12 billion lost in future investment, and some of the city's top players heading for the exit. Christian Angmeyer, a major tech investor, fled to Switzerland, calling the policy a death blow to London. And Goldman Sachs Vice Chairman Richard Nod went off to Milan to escape Reeves' hammer. And all this, while inflation still bites, real wages are flat and families across the UK are still struggling to afford essentials. So, what happened next was the public turned, Starmer's approval ratings slump, and, deep within Labour's inner circle, the knives came out. Rumours began to swirl that Reeves had overreached, that her policies were too aggressive and that she had become a liability. Reports say senior Labour MPs, including Starmer's allies, began meeting in private. What started as whispers turned into a full-blown purge strategy. And at the centre of it all is a plan to remove Reeves before she drags the entire government down with her. Angela Rayner, already circling like a hawk, has reportedly used the crisis to bolster her leadership ambitions, quietly building alliances while Starmer stumbles. And now, according to multiple Westminster sources, Keir Starmer has prepared the groundwork to sideline Reeves entirely. If things don't improve, if Labour's polling doesn't rebound, she's gone. But Rachel Reeves, she's not going quietly. In a bombshell private meeting earlier this week, the Chancellor is said to have warned that she won't be the scapegoat, that she won't be sacrificed to save Starmer's sinking ship. If you enjoyed this political firestorm, like the video and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating political content.